Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name's Perry Phillips. I go by Pothead Picker on Instagram. Sorry, I just ran up and down the stairs like 3 or 4 times. Another week. Welcome. Just got back from vacation, so trying to get on top of. Anytime I go on vacation, I come back and I'm like ready to do some shit. So I had a bunch of orders. I put my store in vacation mode because we were only going to be gone like 5 days. I probably didn't even need to do vacation mode. I forgot about Juneteenth. I know I'm a bad progressive American. I'm sorry. But I just completely forgot that was Wednesday. So I probably could have just not done vacation mode, but it didn't really affect sales. I mean, maybe I would have sold a couple more things. But I was we didn't do much. You know, when you're on vacation with your kids, you're so tired. So the first day we got up early to leave and because we wanted to hit some yard sales. So I'll talk about that later on. But we got up early, and then by the time we got back, we got home later, and it was like we weren't, we bought some beers from the store. We're like, oh, we'll have some drinks or whatever, once the kids are down. I opened a Bud Light and drank like half of it and fell asleep. And like me and my wife both the first day were falling asleep back and forth on the couch, like trying to wake each other up and get to bed. And so we finally, after like 2 hours, we got to bed. And so yeah, I got a really good night's sleep the next day. So I kept waking up early and like doing listings and stuff. So I was on top of listing while I was away. And I even sold some stuff I found while I was away too. So I've listed a few things that I had bought while I was on vacation, which sold, which was pretty cool. So yeah, another week in reselling. I got a negative review revised. Sorry, that was like building anticipation by accident, just because I was struggling to speak. So negative feedback was revised. It was a customer. It was a new account. So I submitted for feedback removal first. It was a negative review that just said super. So I'm like, okay. And it was an international sale, so I'm assuming that like English wasn't like their first language, maybe not. I don't know. And so they left a negative like red star review, whatever. I don't know why I said the color of the star, but like I was trying to think of like in terms of like from their point of view, like maybe they just saw red. They were like, oh, I like that color better than, I think it's green for positive. Anyway, so the feedback removal was like, no, we can't remove it, because they never even fucking move anything ever. They're like, unless it goes against our policies. It's like, well, it's clearly a fucking mistake. So anyway, so I reached out to the buyer, which I should have done this first and then submitted it as like a buyer error, but whatever. It worked out in the end. So sorry, that just came out of nowhere. So I reached out to the buyer and I was like, hey, I see that you left like a positive comment under negative feedback. This affects me as a small business, blah, 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 blah. I hope something. I was very polite and asked, if I sent them a feedback revision, if they could take a look at it, blah, 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 blah. So then they replied yes, that they would do it. And so then I sent it to them and they actually filled it out and the feedback was revised. So, and then they changed their feedback to super extra. So, yeah, I was very, very pleased that they did that. I had thanked them like 3 times already, and then they did it. So I didn't want to reach out and be like, hey, I see that you did it. Thanks again. But I don't know. Maybe I should. Who knows? So, yeah, that's... I couldn't believe that happened. So that was pretty sweet. This weekend, hoping that there's some yard sales. It's not looking great though, so far. It's supposed to be 80, but it looks like it's going to be cloudy in 80, which means like humid. So who knows how that's going to go. I'm hoping to find a couple. I was pussied out on a storage unit today. It was like, I said I would bid up to 300, but you couldn't really see anything that was in it. It was just a bunch of totes. So it was like, it would have been a huge gamble. It could have been a bunch of bullshit, or it could have been, I should have just done it. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, pussied out at the last minute. So should have done it. Could have done it, but didn't. And so this weekend, well, I still have a bunch of stuff left to list from what I picked up. I picked up a bunch of stuff we drove up to Maine. So I picked up a bunch of stuff on our way up there. And, yeah, it was actually really nice weather. So that was pretty sweet. But this weekend it's looking, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm supposed to have one of my children come with me, but I don't know. We have a family friend in town. Excuse me. So I might get some help as far as babysitting goes. So, yeah. So our trip was good. Hit a lot of yard sales. So I told him we were deciding whether we wanted to go up Friday. And then, go up Friday and then wake up. I could just get up and go to yard sales around there. Or drive up early Saturday and hit yard sales on the way. So my wife chose get up early Saturday. So we left. It's crazy. I don't know how time like works differently when you're yard selling. I swear to God. Because it seems like every time I look, an hour has passed. So we drove, up. We tried to get past Boston, or like ended up going through Boston, like suburbs, but we got like a couple like different views of the city that you don't really get all the time going through Boston. So it was pretty cool because I don't go that way often. And so we got through there and hit a sale. There was a sale that was starting at 8. It was like 7:10, 7:15 or something like that. So we saw the sign. So I was like, I bet people like out this way are up earlier. You know what I mean? It's like more of a hustle bustle. So we go, and sure enough, they've got their whole yard sale set up. And so I pull over, and I'm like, hey, can I take a look? And in their ad, they said they had comics. So I got a bunch of comics. I got like 14 or 15 old comic books. He wanted $100 for everything. I probably could have said 50, and they probably would have taken it. But I ended up spending 40. Should have just said the 50 and seen if he would have taken it. And but like every book was like $15 or over, so I kind of wish I had just been like, hey, $50, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to like look at. He had everything marked $5 each, so I mean, it's kind of like I was hoping to get them for like less than $1 each, but they weren't in like the best of conditions. But so yeah, they were already open, so I grabbed those, started that off. They're all good books. It just sucks that I didn't grab them all. I wish I could have grabbed them all, and I should have just offered 50, and I should have just, but it is what it is. I didn't end up spending that much money either. Like I was worried. I was like, oh, I don't want to blow my load on a bunch of comic books that I'm probably going to end up sitting on anyway. So then the next sale, so when we start driving again, and we just, at this point we're like on back roads, but it's like been 2 hours now, and it's supposed to take 2 hours or so, like 2.5 hours to get to from our house to where we are vacationing. And so we just at this point we just started looking at signs. You know what I mean? I tried to look at it online a little bit, but it's hard when you're on the move to figure out where you're at, where the sale's at. But it was so nice out there that we just kept seeing signs. So we saw one sign and we stopped at the sale, and this sale was like in the middle of nowhere, kind of. And they had, like, right as I walked up, I saw a couple of vintage stuffed animals, like nothing crazy valuable, but like, you know, cool vintage Disney stuff, like that you don't see. It's, you know, it wasn't Mickey or the usual stuff. It was like a Boo and the fuck, what's the other Disney monkey? Rafiki from Lion King. So it was those two, and I've pretty sure I've sold at least both of them, maybe one or the other. I've at least sold Rafiki. I don't know if I've sold a Boo or not. So I know they're not crazy valuable, but they wanted $1 each for those. And I wish we had got there a little bit earlier. There was this lady loading up. She had some Hokas that they had marked $10 on. They probably would have taken $5. They were doing deals. And so she passed on these other shoes that I found. It was like a mismatched pair of New Balance. And so they were samples, and they were brand new. I mean, they had some kind of factory issues. Like some of the issues on it were like, I don't know what was going on with them. But so I have those listed for like $1,500 right now. I don't think they'll sell anywhere near that. But I wanted to start high just in case. I went with like the high of New Balance, which was like $2,000. So I was like, all right, I'll go a little bit lower than that. If I already get a couple watchers, I'll start to send out some offers and then see how that goes. But yeah, they're like, you know, samples. But they're like, one's super colorful, like has like its color block, and then the other one is just plain white. So like, I think the lady just passed on it because she didn't think that they were the same shoes. But I was like, I looked and everything looked like it matched, like all the numbers and shit. And so they only wanted $5 for those. So I was like, all right, sweet deal. And then I don't think I got anything else to that sale. I might have got one or two things. But I got that stuff, and they were super nice. But everybody was like really nice. A lot of the prices were really cheap. So I ended up not even having to haggle most of the time. Like there was one lady, and then the next sale we went to, I'm not going to remember every single sale, but these just kind of stuck out. This one sale we got to, it was like, it was pretty packed. I think we must have got there like 10. At this point, it was like getting later. You know, it's crazy. Like I said, time just kind of like, it's weird. It's just time moves in a different way when you're yard sailing, because you're like, you forget how long it takes to drive to each little house or street. You know what I mean? So it's like that. Once you get to the sale, then you're there for X amount of time, and then you gotta pay. Sometimes you gotta wait to pay, and then like by the time you've gone to a few sales, it's like, you know, it's just a few hours in just going to sales. So that was pretty wild. That was blowing my mind, is how much time, like, because like I said, it's a 2-hour ride, and this is like almost at 9:00. We left at 5:30, pretty much. So that's like almost 4 hours of driving. You know, obviously you're getting out, walking around, like, but it's just crazy how long it took. Anyway, so next sale, and I go up, and there's like an old lady, and there's some t-shirts, there's clothes everywhere. They had like this whole rack that had fallen over, so it was like mostly women's clothes that I didn't know much about. Like a lot of the women's clothes look like basic, you know, like Target brands. So it wasn't anything I was really like, you know, I would look for like vintage or rare stuff. I didn't see much of that, but it was like a huge pile, and there was just people everywhere, so it was kind of hard to like maneuver. But I started going through their t-shirt rack, the men's t-shirt rack, and I found a vintage New England Patriots t-shirt, and a Harley Davidson like crew neck sweater, like almost like tie-dye colors, kind of. Not really tie-dye colors. I can't really. It's like I don't know. It's hard to explain. I forget the color name, but it looked like it's like a more modern sweatshirt, but it's like a nice sweater. You know what I mean? So somebody will buy it. Very yuppie looking. You know what I mean? Like some white lady will buy it or something. I can't tell if it's a men's or ladies. But anyway, I'm looking at it right now, so I'm like looking over. Hopefully this video fucking gets uploaded. We'll see. Last time it completely fucking forgot fried. I don't know what happened. But anyway, so then I found a vintage New England Patriots t-shirt that's pretty dope. It's my size, so I don't know if I'm going to keep that one or sell it. We'll see how much it goes for, that exact one. And then they had this thing hanging up. I'm like, it was a yellow, it was like this crazy yellow and red outfit. And so then I got closer and I saw the tag was WWE. So I was like, oh, what is that? And the lady was like, she took it down like she was like planning on like making me take it. Like she probably would have given it to me for free. And so she was like, oh, it's, you know, this whatever, it's the Macho Man Randy Savage Halloween costume or whatever. I forget what she said at first, but it had boots, a hat, like it had the whole get up. And so I'm like, all right, how much do you want for it? And she's like, I don't know. I know they go for a lot of money. And anytime they say that, you're like, oh, fuck. So she's like, $6. I was like, yeah, I'll do $6. I'm like, I'm not even going to haggle at that price. So I think I paid like $9 for everything. But they had another like Jack Sparrow costume. But I was so overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that the Randy Macho Man Savage one came with that I was just like, you know, there was too much going on. So then I just basically like, you know, bought the whatever stuff. I looked around some more, but it was kind of hard. There was like so much, the huge pile of stuff. It was just, you know, too much. And you could tell they were overwhelmed. So I was like, we'll just keep moving. Like there's nothing I really need here. And so we went on to the next, and, you know, we found a few more stops through along the way. I found some more comic books. Found a cool Blade comic book. I forget if it's like the first Blade. It's like the first Blade Midnight Suns or something like that. So that was pretty cool. And then we stopped at another sale. It was like off the beaten path, another one. And I talked to them a little bit, and they were telling me that they do sales every Saturday. Now, I'm not going to drive up there. I mean, I might. I don't honestly remember which address it was because we were just driving around at this point. So I went up, and they had a lot of junk, but like mixed into the junk, they had good stuff. Like they had on this one table, like on the dollar table, they had authentic Nintendo GameCube controller. It was a little dusty, but it was in really good shape. Like a lot of time you find those things, they're beat up. This one was in really good shape. All the joysticks and everything felt good. The buttons all felt good. So I grabbed that. And then I kind of walked around a little bit more, and I found they had some DVDs for $1 a piece. And I found, and it wasn't even $1. I think I paid $3 for everything. So I got the controller, the GameCube controller, a Toxic Avengers animated series on DVD, the Volume 1. It was brand new sealed. And then I got, what else did I get at that sale? And then I went over and they had t-shirts. So I got a vintage WWE. It's like 2002 WWE Big Papa Pump. It's a two-sided t-shirt with the tag, like not with like the tag, but like the, you know, it's not like a tagless tee. Like it's from 2002, so it's a little bit newer vintage, but still, there was only one listed online for like $100. But we have different sizes. Mine's a medium. I wish it was a bigger one, like XL or double XL, but whatever. It's a cool t-shirt. It'll still sell for, I'll probably get at least $80 for it. So then they had another like Christian t-shirt, and I've done well with Christian t-shirts, and this one's got like a crazy like earth graphic with like a fetus in the earth, and like, so that was cool. From like, it's dated 1998. So they had some cool shit. So I was asking her if she has more t-shirts, and she said she was going to be bringing more out. I honestly might, if I can get some help, because it wasn't that far. Like, that was like earlier on in the trip. Like, it might have been like an hour ride from me, so it might be worth it to go up there Saturday, and figure out if she said she was going to have more wrestling t-shirts, but who knows if she actually will, if it's worth it to go. People always say shit, and then, I should have gotten her info. But yeah, the hindsight is 2020. Plus, like, we were traveling, so when you're driving, it's just because the kids are in the car, so we're trying to entertain them. I'm trying not to like completely torture them while we're driving around. So we were trying to stop and get them out. So, we were killing time that way too. So we kind of wrapped up, I don't know, I think we wrapped it up around like 11, and just kind of cruised towards our destination. Then we hit like this children's thing. So they had a tortoise running around. That was pretty crazy, like a big ass tortoise that they were just letting run around this field with a park. There's a guy who's like monitoring them, but they had a couple other creatures. My daughter got her face painted, so of course we had to stand in line for that. And when she first said it, there was like 3 people in line, and I was gonna stand there and take her in line, but my wife's like, "Oh no, there's a line." So like, I should have just been like, "Oh, let's just go now." So we walked around for another minute, and she asked again about the face paint. At this point, the line is actually long. Like, it wasn't long before. It was like 2 or 3 kids. Now there's like 10 plus kids. So finally she asks again, and I'm like, all right, let's just stand in line. So I had her stand with me, and she was like playing while I was standing there. And then, we finally got up to the front, but it just, luckily a few people left. There's like 2 or 3 groups of people that left. Once people found out that you had to pay for it, it's like a free thing. So anytime people go to free things, they just like do not want to spend extra money. Some people, so like these people in front of us and behind us were like, "Oh, you have to pay money." And it was like a college kid too, who was basically donating her time, and it was like a suggested tip. So you didn't actually have to pay, but it's like a suggested tip of $7. So it's like, whatever. At least she's doing this and not stripping, right? Anyway, so yeah, then we got to the hotel, and then we stopped at a thrift store again, like it was like basically the last one of the day. It's like a thrift store that I found that baby alien from a few episodes back, and I got a DVD that didn't end up being worth anything. Of course, I left my phone in the car, so I didn't have it to look it up. And so I got the DVD. I think it was like 50 cents or something like that. And it wasn't worth shit, so I ended up just throwing it away. But on the way out of the store, I found a Mad Magazine coffee mug. And I couldn't find another one. There was one that was from like some museum, but I got to get this one listed, and hopefully somebody buys it, because it's pretty legit. I haven't seen a mug like it, and it's Spy vs. Spy too, so I know that's got a big following of fans who are big into that. So, but yeah, I saw that like as I was walking out. Saw it on the rack of mugs, so that was pretty sweet. Grabbed that one. But other than that, I didn't do. Sunday was kind of disappointing. We were going to go and try to hit some sales, but we ended up going to a flea market instead. And, yeah, we should have. Of course, we didn't get there early enough. So all like the good vendors had sold out of their shit, or not the vendors, but like the people who were just there. But I did find a vintage T-shirt there for like $10. It's a single stitch Mack truck T-shirt. So paid up more than I usually would on a T-shirt, but it was at a flea market, and I had looked it up and figured I could make at least $30 to $40, hopefully, or I could use it to trade. So we'll see. So yeah, it was that was Father's Day. So happy late Father's Day to all the dads out there. Yeah, we should have hit some sales instead of gone to the flea market, but I felt bad because the day before they had all had to sit in the car and basically drive around with me. So I was like, all right, we'll just go to the flea market. Everybody can walk around. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But there was some cool stuff to look at the flea market, I guess. I got like a comic book too, an Undertaker comic book for $2. So that was about it. Sorry. And then I went to a sale. Sorry, this is one of those sales. I was tired. It was like I think this was actually the last sale that we went to, because we like stumbled upon a neighborhood sale. Like I kept saying, like, all right, this is the last sale. And we stumbled upon a neighborhood sale that was like a bunch of houses, and most of them were shitty. But the last house that we went to had video games, and they were $1 a piece, and they were PS4 games. So I got one that I knew was worth some money. And then when I went and asked how much it was, she was like, oh, it was $1. And I should have just bundled all this stuff together and been like, would you do 2 for $1 if I buy it all? And she probably would have said yes. But it was like one of those tired errors. And I probably could have sold it for like $30 to $40 quickly on eBay. Like I would have sold and already been gone if I had just done it. But for some reason, I don't know why, it was tired. I was like, you've already been wheeling and dealing all day, and you're hungry, or like you're not sharp anymore. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. But it's whatever. It was still a really good day, and all in all, we paid under $100 for everything. So I think it was like $95, $96, something like that. So yeah, we should do really well. Like I said, I already made 20 back, minus eBay fees. But yeah, it's right now we're in the middle of a heat wave. So we drove back yesterday, and that was the start of the heat wave, was yesterday. So we were in the AC car most of the day, but it was so hot that even the AC felt like it was barely working. Fuck me, sorry. And so we didn't end up, there was nothing. I was hoping there'd be some Juneteenth yard sales. We stopped at one thrift store, the Salvation Army. Holy shit, the prices in the Salvation Army. I'm like, you guys are a fucking charity. You're getting this shit for free. It was crazy how much money this shit's going for. It looked like a legitimate store. Like, it didn't look like a resale store because like all of the stuff looked so good. Like there was a lot of cool stuff, but it was like they had jerseys there. They had like a Jason Campbell Redskins jersey that they were asking $150. All their jerseys were $150 regardless of who the player was. Like it was crazy. It was like they had jerseys, which a lot of places don't have jerseys, which is cool. It's like, oh, cool, they have this fucking thing that they don't have anywhere else. But they had it marked at $150 each for the jerseys. I'm like, there's no way you're selling these jerseys here for $100. And in the location that it was in too, it's like nobody's paying. That's how much you get these jerseys for, is $150. You can't charge $150 for a jersey at a secondhand store. It's fucking out of control. Luckily, I don't usually frequent them, but I'm like, my wife turned in real quick. So we're like, all right, we'll go in here and check it out. And man, the fucking prices on stuff. I didn't buy anything. Everything was so expensive. It was like, I'm looking at their shoes. They had like a pair of Hokas that were pretty beat up. They wanted 25 on them, and they were beat to shit. Like, I don't even think I could have fixed them. And they were. I'm just saying, I wasn't even gonna buy them, but I'm just saying, like, that's what they were. The prices were just crazy. Crazy prices. And then they didn't have a toy section. They had stuffed animals, but it was just like, I don't know if somebody picked through and like, if somebody sells all this shit on the side, but like literally all the good shit was like marked way high. They had comic books that were there was no rhyme or reason to their comic book prices. Some were 20, some were 30, some were 5. Nothing was under 5 for the comic books. And they were just, everything was, all the prices were different. It didn't make any sense. It's like they just were like, all right, this cover looks cooler than that cover, $50. This cover looks similar to that cover, $5. Like, they're just nothing made sense with the prices. So we left there, didn't buy shit, and then made the way back home. But we got home early enough to go in the pool, so we got home at like 1:15, and we were in the pool by like 2:15 with the kids. So I got home and I went upstairs. Like, I got home and just was like, got down to business, because I knew the house was going to be a mess because you're bringing all this shit in. So I brought up as much as I could, put as much of my stuff away as I could, and then put on my bathing suit, came downstairs, and it's just like, I knew if I put on my bathing suit, it would motivate my wife to get going, and we'd both get the kids going, and then we could get in the pool. So we got in the pool right after we got back from driving. That was pretty sick. And then we woke up today and went in the pool, family swim time. So that's been pretty fun. Trying to make it more of an effort to get them in the pool. We set up the kiddie pool too sometimes, but it's just like, I feel bad not going in with them, and then it's more fun when we're in there. And so, yeah, we've been trying to get them in the pool more, especially now that summer's like fucking heat wave city. So gonna finish this up, and I gotta get all the stuff pictured from the trip. I've got a bunch of t-shirts. I got a couple more t-shirts. I don't think there was one cool Green Bay Packers t-shirt that was vintage. It was like a I think we got that one at a little thrift store. I did get that one at a little thrift store. So yeah, we got that one. And then fuck, I just lost my train of thought for a second because I was looking at something. Anyway, never mind. I gotta get all this stuff listed. I got a good portion of the stuff listed yesterday and while we were there. So try to get all that stuff. I'm trying to get on top of everything. So I'm kind of glad I didn't end up doing that storage unit. I can get on top of what I have. I sold a few lots before we left. I got a lot of G.I. Joes. Oh, yeah, I didn't even talk about that. So the town-wide yard sale the week before. So the week before, I was driving around my area, like my town, and I went to... Where did I go? I went to like a few sales. I got some Lego at the first sale I went to, and I was like, oh, sweet. Like, it was 3 sealed boxes of Legos. I paid, and another sealed little thing of Dragon Ball Z toys, like modern Dragon Ball Z. So I thought I had hit it really big, but it was only like, each thing only ended up being like a $15 to $20 thing. So I paid $15 for everything, which wasn't bad. And I sold one of the Lego sets for $20. So I already made the money back, and I still have like 3 more things to sell from that sale. So it wasn't bad. But then I couldn't find any other sales. I was driving around trying to find signs. I'm like, I'm wasting time. So this guy called me. There's this guy that I probably talked about him before, but he's an older dude. He just like looks for tools and shit. He's kind of a eccentric guy. But he always lets me know like if there's sales and shit that I didn't know about, because I'll help him out and shit. And so he hit me up and let me know that there was like a neighborhood sale and that he had seen some cool vintage toys at a couple of sales. So I went to that neighborhood and I didn't have time to like look, do research. So I was like, I'll just drive out and look for signs. So saw a few signs, went to one place and they had a huge bin of, it was like G.I. Joe toys mostly. So I asked how much for the bin. She didn't really have a price. So I started to go through and I'm like starting to pull out certain things because I'm like, I don't want to have to buy all this individual stuff. I just want to buy the bin and go through it later. So I was like, yeah, you sure don't have a price for the whole thing? So she said 60. I was like, would you do 40? So we settled on 50. And so it was like one of the vehicles goes for about $100 in the condition it's in. So I put it out as a lot, all three, because I was trying to get some cash before we went to Maine, which I didn't even have needing the cash because I didn't go through the $100 that I brought. I don't bring a ton of money to Maine for the yard sales. This stuff's cheap, you know what I mean? So I was like, I don't need to bring all this extra cash for no reason. So I was like, I'll bring $100. I think I brought like 115, and I spent under 100. And so, where was I? Fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there was like, most of the figures, there was probably like 25 figures or something like that. And they were all from like 2000s. So it's nothing that's crazy old or crazy collectible, but, it's worth enough. I can do a huge lot of the mid 2000s stuff and then sell the other vintage stuff individually and still make really good money. So that was the first sale I went to. I got that, and they had a couple of the Grateful Dead bears. So I got the 3 bears for like $5. And so I lotted those up together. So those aren't crazy valuable. Some of the old Grateful Dead bears are worth some money. I found one of the vintage ones. It was like the jointed Steve Smith bears. And those ones, it was like, this one that was cool colors, just like teal and purple. And that one sold, I think I sold that one for like $40 to $50. So some of them go for some good money, but a lot of like the little beanie ones, just basically no beanie things are worth money. Like I think some of the old Beanie Babies, like the first edition with like just the TY in the red, I think some of those can be worth some money, but it's so hard to tell with that shit. I don't know. People just don't like beanies. So then I was driving around to a couple other places. And so when I was stopped at one sale that I couldn't find it. It was like one of those, like it said it was going to be doing a sale and they weren't going to be doing it. So then like I had gone through all the sales that I had on my list. So I was like, let me check real quick while I'm parked to see like if there's any other sales. And somebody had posted like, hey, free curb alert. We gave up on our yard sale. Come by, take all our stuff for free. And I saw a big box of seeds, like, vegetables and shit, fruit, whatever. It was a giant box. And so I was going to grab those because I figured if my wife and mom couldn't use the seeds, that we could sell them for sure, like on Marketplace or something. And so when I got there, those were gone. But I found a PlayStation 1. It was pretty beat up, but I mean, I could still sell it for a few bucks. A bunch of games, some Game Boy Advance games, some just like random shit, some Wii games, a Nintendo Wii console, which I already sold. So that sold like immediately for $40. Or maybe 35, I don't know, 35, $40. So then after that, I just kept looking around and I found like a Bose system, like those old Bose CDs, the big heavy ass players. I don't know why these are so desirable, but some of them are worth some money, so I always look them up, and or buy them if they're cheap. And so this one had like the second pair, like the CD changer accessory with it, but it didn't have a remote, so I couldn't test it. And I was like, I could, buy a remote, test it, blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't work, then I'm out that much more money. And if it does work, I'll make a little bit more money. But I was like, well, I'll just sell it as is for parts. And then that way I don't have it to deal with anybody returning it for some bullshit. So I got like 3 offers right away. One for 80, one for 90, and then one for 110. So I took the 110, obviously. And because I had it listed for 120. And so it sold pretty much within a few hours. So that's definitely a bolo. But I got that for free at that sale. And I think that was all that I got there. I do wish I had gotten there earlier to get those seeds. I feel like that could have been I've seen people pick up seeds before. Because a lot of times they'll have them for free or cheap. And, I didn't know how valuable they are. I mean, they're not crazy valuable, but people will buy them, and you can also keep them, and if you need them. So yeah, that was a good tip. So it's good to network. Otherwise I wouldn't have really found shit. So that was the weekend before we went on vacation. And then obviously once we were on vacation, that's where I found some good shit. So yeah, and then vacation was fun too. We, it's a lot of work with kids. And my oldest was going through, they go through like phases and, behaviors and shit like that. And you just kind of got to course correct as they come. But my 3-year-old was just like, in the morning was like super sweet, would just go along with the day. And then like as the day progressed, like into the afternoon, it was like everything's like no. So it was just like, all right, cool. Like this is a new fun phase that we're going through. And of course, now that we're home, she's not doing it. Like it's already not really a thing. It's like she's just sweet most of the day now. So that was crazy. And then my other daughter is just, she's a little tornado. She's just constantly go, destroying, getting into things, like just looking at everything, like just a little mischief maker. She likes to make mischief. And so it was just, it adds a lot of, an element of just a lot of extra work. Everything takes longer. You got to get yourself all prepared. I mean, you don't have to. You can not bring anything if you're going to like a restaurant or something, but then it's going to be fucking miserable. So I always just try to pack snacks. I pack fucking toys, games, things that they can play with. It's not going to be a tablet. And then we do bring the tablets for like when we're driving home or something like that. She can do it if she's been good. But we're not like, hey, take this tablet and shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? We're like, here are the other things you can do, and then like maybe you can do a tablet later. So, and they're not addicted. I mean, if she's certain shit, she'll be like freak out about. But a lot of times I'll just be like, hey, can I take this? And she'll go, okay, daddy. She'll just hand it to me. So, she's getting a healthy, I think, exposure to the tablet. She doesn't even know what fucking YouTube is. Like, we don't let her. I wouldn't. YouTube is just, you can put whatever the fuck you want on YouTube. I mean, to a point, but like, there's people that can put up like fucking them jerking off and shit, and they're like, oh, it's educational and it's okay to be on YouTube. So not necessarily jerking off, but But they have it can be done as far as it's educational. So there's just too much shit that they can stumble on. And then for a while there was those videos that were popping up that were like really bizarre kid videos that would like play, like if you've watched just the kid algorithm for too long, you know what I mean? They would just pop up. That was for a while. I forget what they were called, but they were really weird. I watched not one or two, but like I watched enough to be creeped. It's not like anything crazy inappropriate, but it's just like, it's just weird. Like it was just very bizarre for kids. It was like adults in like kids costumes, and yeah, it was just very weird. And so yeah, I just know how crazy YouTube used to be even wilder, but now it's obviously kind of been tamed. But the craziest shit would be if I just let my kid on Twitter, or X now. You know what I mean? That would be, there's fucking everything on there. Like, here, use this to watch kids shows. She would stumble on some fucking wild shit. She'd be traumatized. But yeah, that would be crazy if they did have Twitter kids. You know what I mean? Maybe if he brings Twitter back, the name back, that Twitter can be the one for kids, and then X can be the one for adults. You know what I mean? X. Although the Twitter kids would be like, I'm sure all of the Twitter X stuff would leak over to the Twitter kids. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about at this point. Let me look on my phone and see. I haven't gotten to my phone, just phone topics yet. Let us see. I'm just looking at my notifications right now. I'm not even fucking... I wasn't even looking at the topics that I had down. Okay. All right. So... Oh, yeah. Speaking of Maine. So... While we were at the flea market, my kid was hungry again. Those friggin' outbursts. And so they go, like, you think you bring enough snacks, and then it's like, it's entirely not enough snacks. Like, they'll blow through the friggin' bag, like, the bag of snacks, or like I'll bring a cooler bag full of snacks, and they blow through that shit in like the first 5 minutes of driving. And so then they're like, I'm hungry every fucking 5 minutes. And so we're at this flea market. They have a little stand and stuff where they've got food for sale. And one of the things on the menu is hot dogs. And so my wife didn't read. She barely reads shit. Like, if it's got instructions or anything like that, you can guarantee she's just looking right past that shit. Like, if you're trying to set something up, like if she's like, oh, can I, if there's something she wants to build, you know what I mean, like an IKEA fucking desk or something like that, she's not looking at the instructions. She's like, I'm gonna figure it out. And she never figures it out. I usually have to fix it. So, and I read all the instructions. I'm like, all right, let me read these instructions and see what they say before I start just fucking putting shit. You know what I mean? So, anyway, so it said on the menu, supposedly, this is what the girl said, that it says like red hot dogs. But she's like, she thought that meant like that was the brand, which is like, that's makes sense, if you don't know. But apparently red hot dogs are like a thing in Maine. It's like, they're called like red snapper hot dogs or something like that. Supposedly they taste just like hot dogs, but they're red. So I guess it came out and like, my wife was like kind of disgusted. We always joke about the color of hot dogs and shit, because like we've seen people make white sausages before, and that was fucking disgusting. But anyway, so these things were red, and so she was like a little disgusted, and she also was like, well, it's for my kid, and my kid's not going to eat it, and sorry, blah, blah, blah. So then she ended up getting, I don't remember what she ended up getting, but like she basically insulted the whole state of Maine by just being like, ew, your fucking staple food is disgusting and gross, and I wouldn't give this shit to my kid. And That's not really what she meant by it, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of how I felt. Like they were probably seeing it in their head, like fuck these tourists from Massachusetts who don't know about red hot dogs. Um, but yeah, I would say that that's a sausage, not a hot dog, right? But they call it a hot dog. Supposedly it tastes just like a hot dog. I don't know. It just has a snap. I don't like the casing. If we're being honest, I would rather just eat the sausage like taken out of the casing, or the meat. You know what I mean? The casings are gross. I always feel like I'm eating like an old condom. That just, well, especially if it snaps. Ugh. People are like, oh, that's the crunch you want. It's like, no. Like, I don't know what this is made of. Like, assuming it's some type of animal or something you can eat. I don't know what the fuck it is. But then again, I don't know what the fuck's in like the sausage. So it's like, I can't really be there complaining about this fucking meat condom. Ugh. Ugh. But anyway, yeah, red hot dogs apparently are a thing if you're from Maine. Gross. I also had an injury. It was candy related. So for some reason, I thought it was a good idea. My wife sent me to go get snacks for the trip, which is never a good idea. Like, she knows not to send me for snacks. So I got like candy, which we didn't need. And so I also got edibles. That wasn't one of the snacks I got, but that was just one of the things I got. But these edibles sucked. Like they've had these edibles at the store that I go to that are really good. And they're the cheapest ones that they have too, which is the best. But everybody knows that they're good, and so those ones are always sold out. So I had to just go with like this shitty stuff. And so those just basically like, I took like 2 and it didn't do shit for a while. And then finally I was like, I'll take like 3 more. So I took 3, and then it hit me, but it just made me sleepy and also get the munchies. So I was just like eating candy at night when the kids went to bed. Just all vacation like a savage beast. It was gross. Not my proudest moment. And so at one point I was like, I had some Sauerkraut Patch Kids, and I've never eaten them this way. But we were watching the Celtics finals, the last game. They won. Congratulations, Celtics. I've been such a shitty fan this year, you know what I mean? I used to be an obnoxious Celtics fan. I would watch all the games. I would fucking wear all the fucking Celtics bullshit. But, you know, since I've had kids and I'm running a business and shit, and I have to take an hour out of my day every week to fucking podcast. No, I'm kidding. I like doing that. I haven't really been watching much. So we did watch that, but while I was watching it, I was like, oh, I'm going to suck this. Sounds really weird. I'm going to suck like the sugar off the Sour Patch Kid. You know, get that shit out of there. And then I can just kind of eat like a fruity thing. And so I did that for 4 of them. And by the 4th one, my tongue felt like I had like burned it. Like I like got a chemical burn or some shit. But then I looked it up, and apparently you can injure yourself on sour shit. So I don't know if it was like, you know, just because I was eating a lot of bullshit with the Sour Patch Kids or what. But for like 2 or 3 days, it felt like my tongue was like I took a bite of hot pizza. That's what it felt like for 2 or 3 days. And that was from eating Sour Patch Kids. Like, crazy. It hurt like a motherfucker. It was wild. I've never had anything like that. So I was like, I'm not going to eat any more Sour Patch Kids. And then yesterday the bag was open when I was putting stuff away, and I was like, oh, I'll just dip my fingers in. And so, yeah, 8 more Sour Patch Kids. Didn't suck on them, though. That was where I was going to draw the line. I was like, I will not suck a Sour Patch Kid. I won't do it. I won't do it. Okay. This was just like a general thing. It's always weird when I'm on Facebook Marketplace and you see like a woman posting pictures of herself modeling the clothes that they're selling. Because you're like, somebody's definitely going to jerk off to this. Like, But then you're like, is that what you want? Like, is that part of why you're doing this? Or do you genuinely just don't know how the internet works? The other thing that's funny is when people post pictures on Marketplace and they post like a picture of themselves. Like there was this one guy who posted a picture of like some tools, like some old boomer guy. And he's selling this tool or something like that. And the first picture in his series of pictures is him and his wife. Like, it was a wholesome picture, but you know what I mean? If you got some dick pics on your phone, you got to be careful. But yeah, this picture luckily was wholesome, and they were like, you know, just kind of taking a nice photo for the camera. But that's just always weird to me. Like when you put yourself in the picture, like I want to avoid as much confrontation or conflict as I can while I'm listing on Facebook Marketplace, because it's just such a cesspool for nonsense, and it's only getting worse. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just using AI to make that platform just dog shit. That's just a crazy take that you just assume that they're using AI to make it dog shit. I don't know. Who knows? Fuck. I don't know what just happened. I just had like a total fucking brain fart. But anyway, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about is we're doing an estate sale. I think I've talked a little bit about it. But we're supposed to go on Monday to finalize and put everything that's for sale so we can finally take all the stuff that we want to sell to. So I'm hoping that they listened to our instructions carefully and didn't get rid of anything. I'm hoping that they're just going to let us go in there on Monday and do our thing. But yeah, I'm going to check, because I doubt that they checked every nook and cranny at that house. So we'll see. Hopefully we can find some good shit. There was some good shit in the basement. There was some stuff that they were like not really even concerned about, that they just like wanted gone. I'm hoping that they left that stuff there. But there was like some military stuff, like cool unit, like this uniform and stuff. Somebody's uniform in the family. So I'm hoping all that stuff they actually like gave it to a family member. So we'll see. I gotta go there and like try to convince them of that. But yeah, we're gonna be going through and selling a bunch of shit. This is like my second estate sale, I'd say. I did one like a year or two ago. But yeah, I do them like fucking professionally. Not professionally, like I'm not professional, but I do it, just, the fuck's the word I'm looking for? I do it, I guess, professionally. I don't know. I try to make it like efficient. I don't know. I try to do it efficiently or what. So, but yeah, we're going down on Monday to check everything out. So that should be fun. I love running sales. Kind of. Like, first hour or so, too, it's like you're busy, you're slammed, you're helping people out. And then, like, after that, you're just sitting in a house, just, like, waiting for the shit to end. So, but this house has tons of good shit. There's, like, tools, antiques, collectibles. So, like, I'm only taking a small handful of stuff that I already know is, like, I'm going to be selling. But there's a ton of stuff they already said that is there. So I'll probably go through and maybe take a few things. I don't know what we're going to do. Probably look some of the stuff up. So I got to teach my wife how to like look shit up quickly. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So my wife's going to be helping me, and then my buddy is off that day. So that's pretty sweet. We're going to be, it's pretty sweet. We're going to be able to, what's it called? Fuck, why am I'm like zoning out right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I keep looking at shit around. It's fucking ADD. So yeah, we're going to be able to go up there and get the shit ready. That's all I was trying to say. I don't know why I was struggling with that. So yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully we make some money, and yeah, gotta hope that there's like a ton of tools. So I'm hoping that those are like big sellers. I'm hoping that stuff we can get like cleared out. So I have a few friends that I can help pricing stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's the podcast for this week. Make sure again that you subscribe, tell your friends, check out the Instagram Pothead Picker. I do have an Instagram for this page, but I don't have anything on it yet. Eventually I'll post just clips of the show once I have the clips of the show. And yeah, the fucking GoPro didn't explode this time. So I'm going to actually sit down here in a few minutes and try to get that stuff over and edited and see what happens. I don't even know how you're supposed to edit the videos on here, but we'll see. So that's the podcast. Thanks again for listening, and I'll check in again soon.